and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sarah, my pronouns are she, her, and this is a channel about the cross-stitch projects I'm working on and the cross-stitch patterns I design. You can find me on Etsy and Instagram as ModCross, and links to all the things I'm going to talk about today are in the description box below. Today is Friday, November 17th, 2023, and this is Flosstube number 10. We've made it to double digits. It is so good to be back. I have so much stitching to show you. The seasons are changing into my heavier stitching time, and gift stitching has started. Fall stitching is my favorite. So much stitching. It has been a hot minute since I did a regular Flosstube update. I did a extra or a special episode last month when I released my 2 fall releases. But as far as other stitching, ever since then, I pushed and pushed to get those patterns out, and then it felt like a free-for-all. I started holiday gift stitching, I started new fall projects, I started lots of things, and actually finished a couple too. So I'm so excited to show all the things today. My fully finished objects, so FFOs, were the 2 patterns that I released. And if you haven't seen the Flosstube Extra and you're interested, go back and watch. I'll put pictures up here. The models are at my local needlework shop, Criss Stitchery in Iowa Falls, Iowa. And so I don't have them to show you, but I talk about all the details and show them up close in my previous video. So the first FFO was the Pins and Needles pillow, which I will insert a picture of here. And the second was the Stitch Witch needlebook, and this took my Stitch Witch ornament from Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue this year and added a back panel to make an optional needlebook. So both those patterns are available in print from Criss and on my Etsy shop for a PDF version. So if you want to learn more about those, head on over to the last video. In that video, I also had a giveaway. So if you watched the extra, bless you. If you commented, thank you so much for your support. And if you used the code word BOO, you were entered in to win a pin mini set from Just Another Button Company, which I also used to finish the Pins and Needles model. So I did the YouTube random comment picker, and the winner is I Swear I Am Stitching, Sarah, another Stitchy Sarah. If you don't watch her, go check her out. And Sarah, if you will send me an email, my email address is below, and give me your address, and I will get that in the mail to you. I will also leave a comment on your comment. So congratulations, and thank you to everyone who watched that video. In that video, I also showed my fall free pattern that went out to newsletter subscribers. If you're already a newsletter subscriber, you've received this, and if you sign up today or later, you will get it sent to you. But I hadn't finished the model. I just showed the pattern. But I did want to stitch it anyway because it's so cute. And so this is the first of my three finished objects. Like the stitching itself is completely done. And this is Handy Corn. Look at Handy Corn. I'm so happy with how this came out. It was definitely one of those where I thought it looked okay as a pattern, and so I was okay releasing it without stitching it first, but I did want to stitch it. And when I did, I'm so happy with it. So this is all DMC, easy to kit from Stash. This is the fabric is a 36 count special edition color and cotton, which just means it was kind of an off dye that didn't match what they were going for. And so they just offered it as a one-off or a one of a kind. And it's so cute. So I think I want to do a little mini stand-up with it. So the next time I get all my finishing stuff out, probably when I have gift stitching done, I will fully finish that. But for now, there's the little Handy Corn. And again, this is available from my newsletter. Sign up is in the description box below. So 2 other finishes. This one I finished last night. And I stayed up way too late because I was determined I was going to have this done. This is Gathering Acorns by Luminous Fiber Arts. I'm so happy. This is on 36 count swank linen from Fortnite Fabrics. It is the called for Paprika Belle Soie silk floss, and it's 2/2 on 36 count, which is my favorite. So I started this series last year, and this was the first one of the series that I started. So I started this on the first day of autumn 2022, and I think I had the top and most of the sides done as far as a border, and then part of this flower. And then I'd come down, and I think I'd maybe even started the pumpkin, so maybe the bottom didn't quite go all the way across when I picked it up this year. But I finished the pumpkin earlier, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to get back to it this fall. And I just had one day in October that I just needed some monochromatic comfort stitching. And so I brought it back out and I finished the pumpkin and I posted it on Instagram. I think the bottom part of the bird was done as well. But this squirrel and the rest of the bird were entirely stress stitching while listening to Iron Flame, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing, for those of you fantasy romance readers out there. And I hadn't pre-ordered the book. I read Fourth Wing for the first time not that long ago, and so I wasn't like fully geared up yet, I don't think, for the sequel to release on November 7th. But on the day of the release, I happened to get on to Bridges, which is a library app, and there was already multiple hundreds of people waiting list for the ebook, but the audiobook was available. And so I figured, yeah, I could listen to it. And so I was listening to it while I was cooking supper and, walking through the grocery store, and while my children were trying to talk to me. I was like, I'm sorry, I have to find out what happens now. So it actually worked out really well because I could stitch a very calming, soothing pattern and listen to a not calm, not soothing book just so I could find out what happened and honestly, who was going to die. So yeah, so that the squirrel flew by, and then I finished the bird, and then it's like, at that point, it's like, well, you just have the flowers left, you might as well finish it. So there is space for 2 buttons in the middle of the flowers that will be there when I cut it out and cut the fabric and iron, and then I will sew on the buttons while I fully finish. So like I said, there's 6 patterns out in the series right now, and this is my second finish of the series. This was Gathering Snowflakes. That was my first day of winter last year, and I finished it over the winter. So there are those 2. I also have Gathering Clover from the spring, and then it's a start. It's not a big one, but it's a start of Gathering Berries. And that was my first day of summer start. And poor summer, that is my least amount of stitching time, and all summer patterns are just gonna lag behind. So they're all gonna be finished individually, but they are all on the swank linen. So there we go. I'm not sure what I will do next. I think I will go back to Gathering Clover next rather than starting a new one on the first day of winter. The other 2 that are out are Gathering Honey and Gathering Stitches, and so those are a little more anytime, maybe even summery, especially with the colors. It's a yellow and a pink, and so I'm not sure if I'll start one of those or try to finish. I think I'll probably go back to Gathering Clover and try to get more on that, since who knows how spring is going to go on the farm. So finish number 2. The third finish is a start and a finish. So I talked about Autumn Royalty from Lindy Stitches last time. There we go. And it's this adorable trio. I've had it kitted up since last summer when I went to StitchCon. And I didn't get it started last fall. I got distracted with other patterns. And so I was determined to start it this year. And I started with Count of Candy. And he is finished. It was so much fun. It was so much fun because you could do some text if you were in like letter mode. You could do little candies, but it wasn't just a couple stitches. Like you felt like you'd get a good amount of stitches in before you had to switch threads. So it's just kind of just the right amount, or you could work on the bird. So really, really fun stitching. This is on 36 count Mocha by Color and Cotton ? That's how it was labeled in the store. I got this at Persnickety Stitches, north of Indianapolis, last summer on the way to StitchCon. I got the pattern and the fabric there. I have not been able to find any other Mocha by Color and Cotton. It's certainly not in their regular line now, whether it was retired or whether it was a special edition of some sort or if it was just mislabeled. I'm not sure, which is a shame because it is a really nice fabric. Very dusty purple that I just love. So it's called for flosses are DMC and Weeks, and I converted it to DMC and Gentle Arts. So when I have all three of them done, I will put the full conversion out in the description box and on Instagram. But I know this purple is Gentle Arts Grape Fizz. That was a really fun substitution, but most of it's DMC. And then I did put DMC Diamant Gold for the crown. And I will do that for the other two crowns as well. So that's the count of candy. I'm going to do Lord of Gourds next. And it looks like I moved over on the fabric and put in the first two stitches down here so that I knew where I was headed. So that will be coming up next. So those are my finishes. Whew! The needle has been flying, and it's been just so nice to have some starts, have some finishes, get back to some things. It's just been a really good month and a half of stitching. So as far as whips, works in progress, things that I had already started, I've got two. So the Quad City Needle Minders, Nithya from Daybreak Stitchery, Miriam from Marroomy Designs, and Julie from Julie & Stitches. We've been trying to do a monthly Zoom just to chat and recenter ourselves and get a break and fill our cups. And so the November one, the first weekend of November, I brought out Miriam's Birds of a Feather. So this was it's a pattern that she designed just for us for our mini retreat when we met in person this past summer. And I had a very small, sad start on it. And so I wanted to get back to it. I'd started in the top right and I had just the one flower. Not quite all of the colors were in on that flower, and then just a little bit of the border around it was where I was at. And so I wanted to make sure that it got some time. And now it is here. So I finished, I put out the other two flowers and then was able to use, fill in the centers all at the same time. Just while I had those colors on my needle, I wanted to be able to do all three at the same time, and then extending the border around. So there are 14 flowers in the border. And so now I've got 3 of them. This is on 36 count Lotus linen by Be Stitch Me. It's beautiful purple. And it's the called for DMC. And our awesome needle minder from Julie. So that is Birds of a Feather. If you want to see, be sure to go check out Nithya at Daybreak Stitchery's version, because she went and did her own thing with colors, which We love it when she does. And it's stunning. It's beautiful. So I'm going to do called for colors, except for the 4 birds. I will change so that they're each reflective of each of the 4 of us's favorite colors. So that's as far rogue as I'm going with that and the fabrics. So birds of a feather from Miriam. I also am going to meet a full coverage goal this month, and that has not happened in a while. So I got out Peacock artwork by Elizabeth Welker, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This was my New Year's start this year. My goal for my 2 big full coverage projects had been 1,000 stitches on each per month. That has not happened, but I have gotten Peacock out more than my other one. And so I did get 1,000 stitches in August was the last time I had touched this. And I am very close to having 1,000 in this month in November. So I started in the bottom right, and I've got most of this dark part filled in, and I'm starting on these kind of purple ovals. Let me wrestle all the fabric here. And so this is where it is. Ta-da! So in November, I've done 886 stitches. 1 more stitchy day will have me to my goal. I was hoping to hit the 1,000 stitches for the month yesterday, but decided to finish gathering acorns instead. So we're still at 886. Total, I have stitched 5,456 stitches in this year. Out of the total will be 360,000 stitches someday. So I am at 1.52%. And this is the page break, and there's about another 30 or 40 stitches up to complete the page. So maybe next year when I'm counting page finishes, I will get a page finish on this. So that is Peacock. I mean, lots of fun, lots of purple. What's not to love? This is on 18 count Aida. Both of my full coverages are on 18 count Aida, and they use 2 strands of the called for DMC full cross. And there's one color that I cannot find. And my goal for kind of using Christmas and birthday gift cards or money, if I get any, will be to fully kit up both of my full coverages. I have some of the flosses. Basically for this one, I looked at the first couple pages in that corner and just kind of got what I needed for those. And apparently not everything because I missed one. But DMC's been changing their color lots a little bit. And I know a little bit of change happens anyway over time. And this is going to take a long time. And so I know that I really should buy all the floss at once so that I have the same colors for the whole project. So that's a goal for this winter and for gifting season, is to make sure that I have what I need for the whole project. And then I can fill in those little spots. Oh, it's so irritating to me to have those holes there. It hurts, but we'll get there. It'll be fine. So that's Peacock from Heaven and Earth Designs. So, new starts. I've heard people say Startober, like starting in October is a thing. I didn't do it on purpose, but it was an October full of starts. I think I was just so relieved to be done with models that I just wanted to start all the things. And it does go in waves for me anyway. Sometimes I have to start all the things, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't imagine starting anything right now. I'm perfectly happy with what I have. But you know, peer pressure is a thing, and fear of missing out is a thing, and seasonal stitching is a thing, and fall is my favorite. So I'm just happy that I was able to start these things and stitch so much. So my first one is with my dear needle minders, we are doing hashtag artsy fartsy sal, and that is any pattern by the Artsy Housewife. And she's a newer designer, I think, but really was new to us this summer with her releases for the Online Needlework Expo show. And so you are more than welcome to join if you have started or purchased any of the Artsy Housewives' amazing patterns. Please join us, use the hashtag, tag us. We would love to see it. And I know there are people who are stitching this pretty bird and who have finished it. This was my selection for the one that I was going to do. So this is Pretty Bird, and all four of us are doing different ones, which is really fun. And it's fun to see where other people start and what they do with colors. And, you know, those three are amazing with their color choices and their individual takes on patterns. So it's been real fun to watch. So we all started these during our Zoom in October. So this was an early October start for me. And I started in the center, which I haven't started in the center in a while because I usually don't cut my fabric to size for the pattern. I stitch and then cut when I'm done. But for this one, I'm using the same fabric as my Autumn Royalty Trio, that Color and Cotton Mocha ? And so I did cut it to size, and then I put it in my Q-snap, which is square, and realized that I needed to take it out and double check that I'm actually going lengthwise correctly. So we made it. I think we're okay. And I got the center flower done. I did not get the flower done during the Zoom, but I had a good start, and I didn't want to put it away until I really got that center one done. And so I kept it out. And then just for the sake of directionality in my brain, I did start the upper flower and then put in some of the vine. So again, 36 count linen, 2 strands over 2, and this pattern is charted all in DMC. And we had talked about that we wanted it to really be a Stitch from Stash project. And so I was making, I went through and I pulled out the DMCs that I had, and it was about half and of the called for. And then I just started making a list to take to the needlework shop because it's like, well, it's DMC, I can go get it. My needlework shop I'm very lucky that it's close to me. And then I was like, wait a minute. I have a lot of grab bag, well, not a lot. I have a fair amount of grab bag and D-stash silks of all kinds that I picked up really last summer mostly. And I don't use a lot of them because I don't use them for models typically. I don't think I've ever released anything that was charted in silk specifically. And I don't tend to do color conversions just by looking at cover photos. I like to see the original called for floss and then find a conversion if I need to. And so I haven't done a lot of converting to these silks from cover photos or other brands that are called for. But with this one, it was like, wait a second, it's all DMC. I have the DMC color card. I can see what that color is and then hold up the stash to it. Like, why am I not doing that? And so that is what I did. And it was a delightful hour. I mean, it was a delightful amount of time to go through and look at the colors and see what I had in stash and just decide, do I like this tone? Do I want to go a different way with it? All of the DMCs that I had that were called for, I ended up keeping and using. And this big flower, the upper flower, is this kind of a bluish green. And that one I really almost changed, but I just like that color so much that I ended up keeping it. And so they're all gonna be like that. But these parts of the flowers are gonna be a little bit brighter, a little more purple. I think that was the biggest change that I made. So that's been really fun to use things, and really it kind of started me off on a whole color converting kick for some of my recent projects. I was going to say something and it just went away. It's gone. It's gone. Oh, it's back. The only color, I did buy this outer kind of gold mustardy DMC because I did not have anything in my stash that really worked for that. I don't do a lot of yellows. And I just didn't have anything that quite fit with the other colors in the pattern. And so I did buy that one DMC. So that is Pretty Bird by the Artsy Housewife. And please, please join us because it's a delight. The patterns are delightful. So my other two new starts, yes, there's two more new starts, are gift stitching for the holidays or perhaps birthdays if I don't get them done by the holidays. So the first one, Kate, my sister-in-law, I don't think you watch, but just in case, shoo, shoo, shoo. She's seen this pattern because she was with me when I found it, and I was so excited by it that I had to show her. Whoops. But this is Roy Kent. It was it's a charity pattern by ABIT Stitch on Etsy. And it's the Venn diagram of Roy Kent. He's here, he's there, it will be every effing where. Which if you are a fan of Ted Lasso or know the character of Roy Kent from Ted Lasso, it would not be complete without an F-bomb. So eventually it will have a content warning the next time I show it. But it is on 32 count opalescent Lugana, white. It's sparkly, sparkly, and I'm doing it all in A12 because sparkly, sparkly. So all of the lines of the Venn diagram are all in. They all matched up. I had to frog maybe 5 stitches on one of the curves one time, and that was, thank goodness that's the only time I had to frog a toile out of opalescent fabric. Let's just say that. But it's looking good. So I'm starting to fill in the red. So it'll be, red, yellow, blue, and then the secondary colors in the middle or in between, and then the white. The middle will stay white, and that will be that. So she knows about this one. I'm not sure if she remembers, but she knows about it. She's seen it at some point. And then I want to do one on the back to have a 2-sided flat fold. And her birthday's in February, so if I don't finish it for Christmas, it'll be a birthday gift. It'll be fine. So that'll be a good kind of driving to Thanksgiving, sort of just filling in with the colors once all the text gets in. So that is Roy Kent from ABIT Stitch on Etsy. And again, everything will be down below. And if not, leave a comment, send a message. I will get it for you. So these are all the étoiles. It's just, this rainbow colors. So excited for that one. It's been fun. So my last start and my second gift stitching. Anna, my dear sister, go away. Fast forward a bit, leave the room, turn it on mute, whatever. Just shoo, shoo, shoo. So I've had this pattern for quite a while because I thought of my sister immediately, and I'm finally getting to it, and it's been so much fun. Is she gone? We're gonna assume that she's gone. So this is Tired Trio from Plum Street Samplers. It's one of the animal stacks. And it's a sloth family. It's her little my sister's little family of 3 is sloths, and I love it. It's so cute. So while I was on my color converting kick from Pretty Bird, I did try to do some conversions for this from Stash, and these flowers just about did me in because the center is a different color than the petals, and then there's the lightest color in the center. And so I had 3 picked out, and I wrote them down as far as, what this is called for. I'm going to use this for. Could I find that paper when I went to start it? No, I could not. So then I had to figure out what I was doing when I was converting. Could not figure out which I picked for which. So I just started stitching, and I'll figure out what I do with the centers when I get there, and it'll be fine. I don't know. So this is what I have so far. And it stitches up really fast. I was concerned. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this, have time to get this done. You know, the tree looked like it was really dense stitching, and it is, but it's not a lot. I mean, it's 5 or 6 stitches over, you know, thick. It's not bad. And then there's the border that goes, there's a 1-stitch border that goes all the way around, and the leaves kind of break in sometimes. And I've got one sloth there. This is so cute. And some flowers coming in. So I think I'll be able to make it. And I'm really enjoying it. The sloth faces are over 1. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be a fun experiment or something. But this is on 32 count Ocean Air by Fox and Rabbit, which is my all-time favorite blue. This is my last scrap of it from my first piece, and so I'm going to have to get some more because I have to have this fabric available at all times. I'm pretty sure it's the same fabric that I did the Quirky Quaker Whale on for my sister last year. So, and I'm pretty sure this heart needle minder is from StitchCon, and I am so sorry I don't remember who gave it to me. So it is Sun DMC, Sun Called For, Classic Colorworks. I did get at my local needlework shop. Like, I know this, actually this one I had, this is Prairie Grass, that was in the group of flosses that Nithya gave us at the Needle Minder retreat. So that was awesome. And I'm pretty sure both flowers are silks from Stash that I subbed in because I like the colors. So again, as with the Autumn Royalty, when I finish them, I will put the full conversion information below, or if you want it sooner, just message me and let me know. So cute. This has been really fun to stitch. So, it's all my stitching. It doesn't seem like that much until you kind of get it all together and you realize how long it's been since you've done a video, and you're like, wow, I have been stitching a lot. But I've also been buying lots of patterns. And if you're thinking, oh, did you need more patterns? No, the answer is no. The answer is always no. But does that bother us? No, it does not. Because it's fall, and fall's my favorite, and there were some really nice new releases and some things that just found their way into my stash. So, let's talk about it. First is Stitchy Kindness. Patty, who was one of my table mates at StitchCon last summer, 2022 summer, sent me the Wee Santa from 2020 when she finished with him. Look at that coat. So this is the Wee Santa series by Heart in Hand. So he's so cute. So thank you so much, Patty, for thinking of me. And then for purchased patterns, October 1st, I believe, was Witchy Stitcher Day. The Witchy Stitcher is a cross-stitch designer who is going through a cancer journey at the moment. And so to show support, the community has been awesome about buying patterns and stitching their things. And I realized I didn't have any Witchy Stitcher in my stash, which was an issue that I corrected with That's No Moon. And I'd first seen this pattern, I'm pretty sure from Allie at Cozy Cabin Stitching, because last May for Star Wars Day, I realized I didn't have any Star Wars projects on the go. And so for next May, that will be rectified with That's No Moon by the Witchy Stitcher. So that was exciting. I couldn't find this one on her website, but it was on her Etsy. So if you are looking, I do tend to check websites first, just because then you don't have Etsy fees for the seller, but I couldn't find it on her website, but it was on her Etsy. The second ones I was waiting for. I was waiting for my shop, my local New York shop, to get in the October House Fiber Arts fall releases because I had to get Pumpkin Fair. So this will probably be my next seasonal series after the Gathering series. I have Gathering Strawberries, or Gathering Berries was the first, no, not Gathering. that's the other series. Strawberry Fair was the first one, and I have that pattern, and I have the called for floss, the classic colorworks for that all set. And then Gathering Honey, I believe, was the second, and then this is not Gathering, no, Honey Fair. There's a berries one, there's a honey one, and there's a pumpkin one. There's definitely some similarities there, so you can see why I like them both. This is Pumpkin Fair. It says so right there. Pumpkin Fair by October House Fiber Arts. So I think after I finish the Gathering series, which is a different series, I will probably start these. And I'm not sure if I'll have enough swank linen to do them all, but I have... Okay, I don't remember where I was. My phone ran out of memory, so I had to take the first part off and make sure it transferred over to my computer, and now we are back. I know I was holding Pumpkin Fair. I think I've talked about it enough. But along with the fair kind of series, she's also been releasing little rows. There's a tomato row, there's a stitching row. I think it's maybe scissors and thread, or there's two separate ones maybe. This is the pumpkin one. I don't have the other rows, but I had to get the pumpkin one because look at the pumpkins. I can't decide if I want to do one with kind of orangey pumpkins like this or do a bunch of white pumpkins on a dark fabric. Maybe I'll have to do both. So that is Pumpkin Row from October House Fiber Arts. Also, I was waiting for my LNS to restock Autumn Quaker by Primrose Cottage. And I was originally thinking about doing it in a variegated orange, similar to the model. But now that I've finished gathering acorns and I have that kind of variegated monochromatic orange piece, I think it was Colorado Cross Stitcher on Instagram who stitched this and made part of the motifs navy and some of them red, and they were just really, really beautiful with a little more expanded color palette, and I think I might look at that for next fall. So, Autumn Quaker by Primrose Cottage. And then I was on social media and my shop posted that all these new fall releases had come in, and she had just a picture of all these patterns spread out on a table. And that's when I saw that the October House Fiber Arts ones were in. But also on that table, I said, wait a minute, what is that? It is Lumina Pumpkin by 3 Sheep Studio. Never heard of this designer before. I looked her up. She does a lot of cross stitch, but also wool applique and just a lot of crafts. So if you're a multi-crafter, you might want to look at her stuff. But as mentioned previously, I love a white pumpkin, and this one is so cool. I was talking about this pattern with somebody, and I was like, it's simple, but it's still complete. You know, it's definitely a full idea. It's a full design, but it's still very simple and clean. And I fell in love with this. I cannot wait to go through my stash. I'm not sure what I have as far as like beige and gray and white silks, but I will see what I have. I'm not sure on the fabric. This may be one time. It figures. My motto is everything looks good on blue, and it does. And then this model comes with a bluish fabric, and I'm thinking, I might do something different. So the called for floss is all DMC. It's charted in DMC, but I think I will look into doing a conversion when I do it. And I just love it. And now looking at the back, the frame is from Art to Frames, which I've also used, and I'm pretty sure I've used this frame for a model before. So that may have also drawn me to it. So Lumina Pumpkin, my unexpected, delightful find for the fall by 3 Sheep Studio. So that was exciting. And then on subsequent trips to my LNS, I have picked up a few more. Yes, there's more. A classic haunt by Hands On Design. Lots of people have already shown this one. Lots of people have already stitched this one. It's so cute. You know, I love using purple for Halloween. All of Kathy's stuff is beautiful in just this simple, fun to stitch, classic way. And I love this one. So, in the stash for the future. And then Jeanette Douglas released Chubby Fox. So I have Chubby Bunny. I have the bunny already. And then I saw she released the fox, and I was actually in a consignment shop with my mother-in-law, and I found this frame that was a metallic, it was metal, and it was in the shape of a house, but it had a circle opening, a round opening for the photo. And when I was standing in the shop, I pulled out my phone and I looked up the size for these patterns, because somehow in my head it just jumped. It was like, oh, I could do the chubby animals for this, and the size should work out. I'll need to double check before I pick fabric, of course. But so I got Chubby Fox and Chubby Bird to go with the bunny. So I'm pretty sure those are the 3 that are released thus far. And those are by Jeanette Douglas. So those are all my new pattern acquisitions. Pretty sure. I also picked up some 32 count Lugana in Basalt Splash. And I have some plans for Christmas ornaments. I don't know if they're going to happen this year or before Christmas. They may be January ornaments. But I picked up some of the fabric anyway. So that is all of my Stitchy investments. Plans. I don't have a lot of set plans. I would like to keep going on my full coverage. I'd really like to get back to Ripples by Electric City Stitches is my other full coverage, and I have not worked on that since the spring. So I'd really like to give that some love. It is college basketball season crossing over with college football season, so there should be more stitching time, and Ripples is a really good full coverage to work on because there's big blocks of color during those times. So hopefully some of those. Obviously, gift stitching is taking top of mind right now and will continue to do so until it's done. And hopefully we'll have a model to work on soon. I've kind of taken a break. I've stepped back from a lot the last month, and especially the designing. And so now I'm kind of, the mojo's starting to build back up. That cup is refilling, and I'm starting to look at my calendar for next year and what I want to have done when, and really start to plan. So get back into that, and yeah, that'll be nice. I think it'll feel good to get back into it now. It was just a little bit too much a couple weeks ago. As far as other plans to be aware of, Marroomy Designs, Miriam, is doing a sal. She's doing her first mystery sal. And she talked about it in her last video. She's going to do a future video dedicated to the sal, but it's going to start on winter solstice, or for winter solstice, and continue for, I think she said, half a year. So, or at least winter to spring. And she was thinking 12 releases, and it's going to be a choose your own adventure. It will be charted monochromatically, but you can do lots with color that way. And you can pick and choose which releases to include to make it as large or as small as you want. It's a really cool idea. I can't wait to see what she does. So if you are not tuned into Miriam, stay tuned, get tuned in, because it's going to be exciting. So as you're planning kind of your winter, you're between Christmas and New Year's, or, your holiday kind of weeks there, keep in mind that the sal is going to be starting. I'm also going to run a sal in January. So I purchased Finding Warmth by Allie at Cozy Cabin Stitching when it was released earlier this year, and I have a beautiful piece of blue Be Stitch Me fabric set aside for it. It was it must have been an extra leftover from one of her monthly fabric clubs, because I found it was in the store when I went in person. And so I'm probably going to do some color converting to go with the blue fabric, but finding warmth, turn your face toward the sun, and I'm reading it backwards on the screen. Turn your face toward the sun and you will find warmth on the coldest day. Pretty much from Thanksgiving through February is just a sprint for us of family birthdays and holidays and things, but middle of January is kind of a bit of a break. And so I thought that would be a good time to start finding warmth. And I would be so excited if you would like to join and stitch this with me. So I don't have any other details yet, but I just wanted to get it out on people's radar if you're starting to plan, especially if you're planning New Year starts or year-long stitch-alongs. A lot of them are going to start January 1st. So maybe a couple weeks after that, we can all jump onto this one together. So those are my plans. Now, next I typically do a farm update. The farm's here. Harvest is over. Baby pigs are back. We had one baby calf earlier this week, so things are busy. The weather's been really good, so we've been doing a lot of projects, fixing water lines, digging things up, really trying to get ready for winter. I'm not going to go too much farther into farm stuff because this time I want to talk about some world events and things that you can do. There's been a lot of Flosstubers that I love and respect and admire who have talked about the situation in Gaza, and I would encourage you to follow Nithya at Daybreak Stitchery, Miriam at Marroomy Designs, Julian Stitches, Michelle, Bendy Stitchy, if you don't already. I tend to be a person who really likes to feel informed and really like to do research and know history and dig into things before I do a lot of public statements. And I am not as informed about this situation as I would like to be, as I should be, as I need to be, and I am working on that. But at the same time, it does not take a lot of research to know that people are not their governments, and that judging or condemning entire populations based on the actions of some has never been just. So those are two things that I know for sure, and I just wanted to put them out there. What I do have a lot of experience with is contacting my members of Congress. And so that is what I want to talk about for the ending here. Calling your member of Congress, your representative, your senators. When I started doing it in 2016, it took so much mental energy because I thought you had to have your 5-paragraph essay, right? Or, all these talking points figured out. And I realized that's not the place for it. If you want to put down your positions and send an email, that's great. Please do so. But calling your member of Congress, you only have to have 3 sentences. I mean, it's like the bare minimum, and it makes a difference because the people who answer the phones in these offices, and in my previous job, I went to DC, I lobbied on farm bill issues. I know a little bit about how this works, and so that's why I wanted to touch on this specifically today. There are people whose job it is, and they may be unpaid interns. I mean, these poor people. Their job is to answer the phone in these offices and talk to constituents and record who is calling and what their position is. So that you can look at what are people calling about, the people that I represent, the constituents that I have. What are they calling about today, this week, this month, etc. And so, it's going to be your opinion is going to be registered. You're not calling to change anyone's minds. You are calling to say, this is important to me, and therefore it needs to be important to you. Because if they don't hear from you, then they have the excuse to say, this isn't a big issue for my constituents. And that's who I'm working here for, whether they are or not. So, how to call. I know it takes some energy to make a phone call. I have to gear myself up to make phone calls. But they say, hello, so-and-so's office, how can I help you? And I gotta say, the people who answer these phones, I've never had I've never had anybody yell at me. I've never had a bad interaction. Like, these are the nicest humans. And I don't know how. If some of you remember Congressman Steve King from a few years ago, that was the representative for my district. And considering the type of person that he had the nicest young people answer his phones. They were so sweet. And I have never figured out how that worked. But they're not gonna cuss you out for your opinion. I mean, like, it is the safest space possible to do this. So if you haven't done it before, I'm just trying to, like, put all your fears at ease here. You call, they answer. You say, hello, my name is, insert name here, and I am a constituent. This is for your representative and your senators. I am a constituent from your city and your zip code. If you want a response, you may want to give your full address or your email address, but I'm in their system. So I just say my name, I'm a constituent calling from my city and my zip code. So that's the first sentence, so that they know you're a constituent and your information. I am calling to ask Senator Grassley, or I'm calling to ask Representative, insert name, and then you state your position. I am calling to ask Senator Grassley to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you very much. Like, that's it. And then they will record that a constituent has called in with this position, and they may ask you if you want to follow up. But I mean, they're not going to go off on you, right? They're not going to ask you why. You're not going to have to explain yourself. You are registering your position. So that is the case for any issue. And I have done this a lot, and it really is, it does take a little bit of working yourself up to it. But I mean, it is the easiest, most basic thing we can do that is within our power, that can still make a difference. Donate if you can, read, research to trees, do all the things, but at least contact your government officials for issues that are important to you. Okay. My up next segment. I want to shout out Candy, the 614 Stitcher. A lot of you probably already watch her. We have kind of recently found each other's videos, and she is a delight. She is so supportive in the comments, and I just really, really appreciate her and her energy. So if you haven't checked out Candy, the 614 Stitcher, please do so. She is my up next, my suggestion for what to watch next after you finish here. So that is it for me today. It's a relief kind of to finally have this video recorded so I can put all these things away, and I can post some finishes on Instagram and feel like I'm kind of re-engaging with the community. I've been stitching a lot, but I haven't been super engaged with the community. So I feel like I'm headed back there, and that feels like a really good place to be. So thank you to everybody for coming back, for commenting, for subscribing. I can't say enough about all of you and how much I appreciate you. So enjoy the rest of your fall or your spring, wherever you are as the seasons are changing. And just thank you, thank you, thank you. So do what you can when you can, and happy stitching. Bye.